All right, it's South China Morning Post, Nick Atkin and Tom Taylor on location, the Soler Casino and Resort in Manila. We've just sat through 5 hours plus of weigh-ins and hydration tests. It was not as dramatic, Tom, as Singapore was last time, but it's still, we were waiting for one fighter. Jackie Buntan failed 4 hydration tests. She finally passed the 5th attempt. She weighed in at 130 pounds, and that catch weight will be offered to Amber Kitchen. Other than that, relatively drama-free night, wasn't it, Tom?
Yeah, we started very strong, I would say. You know, the fighters were walking out one after the other. It's always a good sign. And then things slowed down, and then they got slower and slower and slower. But I guess the real takeaway here is that everybody except for one fighter made weight. It seems like fighters are starting to get the hang of this system, and hopefully going forward, it gets easier and easier for everyone.
Yeah, a couple other fails. Alicia Helen Rodriguez also failed hydration. She's not fighting, though. There was a bit of confusion about that. She was just trying to pass so she'd get her show money, full show money, and also if she was needed as a backup. But she ended up failing, so I don't know where that leaves her in regards to being a backup, but it does mean she won't get her full show money, I think. Disappointing for her, but Tom, can you understand maybe why she perhaps failed, given the disappointment after Janet Todd had to pull out of the fight, the big Muay Thai unification title fight, because of COVID?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this a bit earlier tonight. You know, your fight gets canceled. What do you want to do, right? You want to kick back, have a nice meal, maybe have a drink, relax. You don't want to keep, watching your weight, keep monitoring your hydration. So I understand maybe, why this happened. It's disappointing for her. We saw her in the food court after the fact, and she did not look happy, I'll say that. So, yeah, tough night for her for sure. And as for her being a replacement, that's clearly not going to happen because she never came back to the scale. So, yeah, man, it's a tough night for her, man, for sure.
Yeah, especially after such a long time out, and I guess she put in very hard camp. But we did speak briefly to Brian Popejoy, coach of Janet, and Leo Elias, coach of Alicia, and they both want to rebook it ideally for January. They were telling us Bangkok might be too soon, but I really want to see that fight. I know you do too.
Yeah, and Bangkok seems like a good place for it. I know they have some title fights on that card already, but clearly one has no objection to putting multiple title fights on a single card. And what better place for a Muay Thai title fight than Thailand, in my opinion, right?
Yep. And another miss was the big man, Jasur. I'm not going to try and pronounce his surname. I've already forgotten.
Big man with the big name, yeah.
Yeah, the big name. But he came in pretty light, so there was no real problem. All he had to do was chug some water, and it came back about half an hour later, passed the hydration, all good. Don't think there were any other misses. It was pretty straightforward. That main event, Tom, is on. Anatoly Malikin was first up, and he was light. He was 1.5 pounds under, I think, Tom. We knew René de Ridder was going to come in light because, he's coming up from middleweight, but Anatoly was coming down from heavyweight. Were you surprised to see that?
I wasn't, because we saw him a couple times this week. He was looking sleek, he was looking slender, and he was clearly confident. He told us that he had dropped a lot of weight. He's been dieting, he's been training hard. Sometimes you can only take fighters at their word on these things, but he seemed legitimately confident that he was going to make weight, and he did. He came in under the limit, which is a good sign for his future in this division for sure.
Yep, and everything else is on. No surprises. Good to have a Prime Video card hold together. There's been a couple of big misses lately. We had 2 champions lose the belt on the scale. The last 2 cards, John Lineker and Cameron Abasov. In theory, we could have had 3 in a row if Alicia had the fight on. We don't know, though. It's extenuating circumstances. Maybe she would have passed without that happening. But just good to see this card hold together, Tom. Is a very good card, and you never like to see all those fights fall apart.
Yeah, there was definitely some pessimism in the air heading into this one. I think people were sort of expecting the worst from these weigh-ins, these hydration tests. But like you said, everything worked out. We got a great card on Saturday. No real issues. Obviously, the Jackie Buntan fight, it's not certain this is going to happen. It has to be proposed to Amber Kitchen, and we'll see if she agrees to it. But that's just one fight on an otherwise great card, and I think it's a good thing for sure.
Yeah, we'll be back for ceremonial weigh-ins 11 a.m. tomorrow at the Mall of Asia Arena, I do believe, and then we'll be back here in this very room at the Soler for the next batch of hydration tests and official weigh-ins at 1 p.m. I think.
Correct.
For 164. Then it's back again to the arena for the ceremonials there. So it's a busy day for us tomorrow. Are you anticipating any problems tomorrow, Tom? I'm hoping these weigh-ins go smoothly again.
Well, I've sort of learned not to get too optimistic about these things. There tends to be hiccups every time. It's a complicated system. It's nobody's fault. But we'll see what happens. It would be nice if we just flew through it and everyone made weight, everyone passed their hydration tests. But we'll see what happens, and you and I, as always, will be there to make sure everyone knows what's going on.
We will be, yeah. Keep it on scmp.com/martial arts. We'll have a live blog again, which Tom was manning today very dutifully. You can follow us. I tweet them all out. Nico SCMP on Twitter or SCMP Martial Arts on Twitter. We'll bring you all the news, all the updates. You won't miss anything. But that's a wrap. It's nearly It is 1:31 a.m. So we're gonna go home, I think. But tune in tomorrow. Thanks everyone for watching. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Wow, thank you.